Hello everyone, this is Raw Power. I'm making a quick video here just to show you guys the gear I'm using for my Clear Mind, Mind over Matter Incinerate Templar build. Because a few people asked me in the forums what kind of gear I'm using, so I'm gonna give you a rundown, like item by item, what gear I'm using, and then you can have an idea of what to use when you make the build yourselves. So I'm using a scepter right now. Um, I talk about in the guide, I talk about the weapon that you should use for this build. So a wand is usually better for the build because it can have projectile speed on the wand, but I still haven't really found a really good weapon for the build. So I'm using this scepter, which gives me a nice flat fire damage to spells, spell damage, and cast speed. Pretty basic stuff. There's a lot of room for upgrades on the scepter, but yeah, it's this kind of weapon you should be looking for. I'm using some basic rings with like a little bit of life, a little bit of mana, which helps. Mana regen, resists. This one has dexterity. I need some dexterity in the build to reach dexterity requirements for GMP, which I use. So many of my gear has dexterity. This other ring also has dexterity, and again life and mana, and a little bit of resistance. Nothing too special, these two rings here, they just complete the requirements I need for most of the things in the build. For the amulet, I'm using Aether's Fibre. I haven't found a worthy upgrade for Aether's Fibre because it's really good for this build. Mine has a perfect row, perfect implicit and perfect rows everywhere else. I dropped it like that. And so it gives me 90% increased mana regen, summing up the implicit and the explicit. Gives me increased maximum mana, gives me flat maximum mana, and also reduced attribute requirements, which help me meet the dexterity requirements for GMP. So Aether's Fibre is really good. It's a unique I recommend for the build. You will only be able to replace this if you get another amulet with lots of mana and mana regen, and some other good stats, a little bit of dexterity, maybe some damage stats, etc. Moving on, for the helmet, I'm using a helmet with +2 minion gems, as I explained in the build guide. This helps my Chaos Golem increase the level. Unfortunately, it's not level 20 yet, but when it finally reaches level 20, it's gonna jump to level 22, and then the Chaos Golem is gonna give me 5% fizz reduction instead of 4%. And then I link it with minion life, minion and total elemental resistance, and fortify, just to make my Chaos Golem really tanky. And both minion life and elemental resistance get +2 levels from the item also, so that's nice. It's an armor base, so pure armor. So lots of life, resistance, armor, pretty much basic things that I need for the build, and also medium gems. Also, I can upgrade this a little bit. There's a lot of room for upgrading this helmet also. And it has 3 blue sockets. I had to use Warwich's craft in the artisan's bench to reach 3 blue sockets. I did actually 2 blue sockets and then hoped for a third, and I got it on the 3rd try. So because it's a pure armor base, you have to do that, because 3 blue sockets are 3 off sockets for this kind of armor piece. For the shield, I'm using Lionized Remorse. Very good shield, very high armor, very high life. A little bit of flat reduction to projectile attacks, 30% chance to block total. So it's very good against physical attacks in general. But it doesn't have any resists, so you have to complete resists elsewhere in the build. If you find a rare tower shield with more or less the same armor and life, but also with resists, then it's an upgrade. You should upgrade your Lionized Remorse. Boots are pretty basic, just at 30% movement speed, and then lots of armor, life, resists. This one also has lots of room for improvement. It's still not that good. Gauntlets, the gloves, the same thing as the boots. Life, armor, and resists. This one is kind of good. Still has a little bit of room for improvement also. Chest piece, again, armor, life, and resists. I got this really good one. Very high life, very high armor. A little bit of chaos resist, which also helps. And I got it 6 link, so this one is really good. And another unique Doriani's Invitation heavy belt. I think Doriani's Invitation is a very important unique for this build. As I reached end game content, I thought my DPS was not so high as it could be. So Doriani's is good because it gives you more fire damage, increased fire damage, and also gives you everything else you need for the build. A little bit of strength, which gives you a little bit of life. Gives you armor, which scales nicely because we invest in armor in the passive tree. Gives us cold and lightning resistance, which is good because in the passive tree we get Firewalker, and Firewalker gives us fire damage and fire resist. So we end up always having a little bit more fire resist than everything else. So Doriani's is good because the fire version of Doriani's gives us cold and lightning resists. So it pairs up well with Firewalker. That's pretty much it for the gear. The links I'm using with Incinerate are the ones I post on the build, on the guide. Incinerate, Life Leech, GMP, Fire Penetration, Empowered, which mine is on level 2 right now, and Spell Echo. On the boots I'm using Cast and Damage Taken, Increased Duration, Enfeeble, Molten Shell, so it helps me curse mobs and get a little bit extra armor and I get damaged. Here on the shield I'm using Lightning Warp with faster casting and less duration to move faster. Probably Flame Dash, the new flame skill, could be better than Lightning Warp. You could think about that if you want. Here I have my Flame Totem with Fire Penetration, Life Leech, and faster casting. It's a little support DPS, also distracts mobs. It's very squishy, dies very fast, but I think it helps me on certain situations, so I keep it. Then there's the golem there, and I'm leveling another Incinerate gem here, but I don't really use it for the build. What I have here is Clarity with Blood Magic. So as you know, I reserve my Clarity using life, so I can benefit from the Clear Mind Cobalt Geo, but I already explained this elsewhere. So that's basically the gear I'm using. Hopefully this helped you guys about gear. You were curious about what I was using, so thank you very much.